Welcome back to the Boreal Bloom Homestead. Today we are talking transplanting. It has been too many weeks since I planted my pepper seedlings. So I did a video back on February 23rd where I planted these pepper seeds in soil blocks, and I'll link the description below so that you can see the method I use, how I create a mini greenhouse to encourage germination, and the soil mix that I use when I'm soil blocking, sorry. But as you can see, these guys are definitely due for a transplant. We were away on holidays for the past couple weeks, so they got a little too far gone, but that's okay. We will undo any damage done by leaving them in the soil blocks for too long. So what is transplanting or uppotting? Transplanting and uppotting is basically taking a seedling that is fully germinated, like this guy here, and removing it from the planting container it's in and placing it into a larger one, or transplanting it into the garden. So basically it's just moving where your plant is living. Here in northern Alberta, transplanting plays a large role in our garden success. By starting seeds early, we are able to grow plants larger and much closer to maturity and fruiting than we would if we didn't have the ability to transplant. Uppotting increases our yields for many tender annuals, especially tomatoes and peppers, both hot and sweet peppers. So we have an ultra short growing season. We are zone 3, possibly zone 2B, depending on the year. Generally, unless you have a well-protected garden or a greenhouse, in this area in northern Alberta, your peppers and tomatoes don't hit the garden until the first week in June, and our first frost comes around the first week in September. So as you can see, that is a short growing season. So putting out larger plants that are more likely to fruit and more likely to flower quickly after they've been transplanted into the garden definitely allows us at least some yields. Every gardener will have a slightly different process when it comes to starting seeds and maintaining and caring for those seeds before they make it to the garden. But my process is pretty simple. First, I plant my seeds into soil blocks, just like this one. And once they're ready to be transplanted, I'll take them out of the soil blocking tray and I will transplant them into a red solo cup that we've punched holes in for proper drainage. And once this seedling outgrows the red solo cup, it goes into one of these deli style containers, again, that we've added extra drainage holes to the bottom, and it will be uppotted again before it hits the garden. The benefits to multiple uppottings are numerous. By gradually increasing the space available for the plant to grow, reduces the likelihood of the roots going straight to the outside walls of the container and beginning to root bind itself. So by slowly adding, the roots will slowly reach out and take up the space. Another interesting benefit to gradually uppotting is that larger volumes of soil hold on to more moisture. So if there's too much moisture available to be held in this container that the plant can absorb and can evaporate over time, you can actually starve your plant's root system of oxygen and even induce root rot, which is a horrible thing to happen to your plants that you've worked so hard and cared for. Another bonus to multiple uppots or transplants during the seedling process is that you're able to amend the soil multiple times. So when a plant gets put into a pot, it's quite difficult to get below the roots. You're only ever going to get below the roots when you're either transplanting or uppotting or placing it in the garden. So by adding the plant to multiple different sizes of containers, you're able to amend the soil each time. And so for us, and me especially, I try to grow without pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers and grow as naturally as possible. So this allows me to mix more nutrient-rich compost and stuff into the soil mix that I have in the container, allowing my vegetable plants and fruit plants or whatever to get more nutrients during the growing process and to get them naturally, to train the plant to look for nutrients within the soil rather than looking for fertilizer. So I find this process helps to grow a really healthy plant without adding extra nutrients in the form of fertilizers and other things like that. If you're wondering when to transplant your pepper plants, the easiest way is to look at a calendar. So ideally you would be transplanting your pepper seedlings when they're 3 to 4 weeks post-germination. Unfortunately for us, I am 1 to 2 maybe weeks behind that date. But another great way to look at it if you're not 100% sure when your germination date was, is to look at the leaves and the growth of the plant. So ideally you want your plant to have 3 to 4 sets of true leaves. So on all plants will have cotyledons, and those are the first leaves that emerge when the plant germinates. Those don't count in this math equations. We're looking for these longer leaves here, and we're going to count 1 set, 2 set, 3 set, 4 set. So mine actually have 5, 6 sets. So they are definitely ready to be transplanted. Now that we've determined our plants are absolutely ready for transplanting, what do? So my process for transplanting is quite simple. I use a similar soil mix to my soil blocking mixture, but just different ratios. So I use 2 parts of black soil that I buy black. I use 2 parts of bagged black soil and 3 parts of the ProMix BX or the ProMix HP, whichever one I have on hand. So the reason that I use this mixture is that I like to maximize the benefits of the moisture holding capacity and the aeration of the ProMix, but add the nutrients from the composted soil. So when I mix my soil, I do pre-moisten it. I recommend pre-moistening all your soil, no matter what you're planting or transplanting. Because of the peat moss content in the ProMix, it's really hard to moisten that after the fact and have it to like rehydrate evenly. So what I do is I mix my soil in the same bin that I use for my soil blocking, and I add water. The goal with the soil mixture when you're transplanting is simply to add enough water that the soil kind of stays together without falling after you've squeezed it, but you definitely don't want to be squeezing water out of it because that will increase water retention within the plant pot, and it can cause, again, oxygen deprivation and stuff for your plant, which we don't want. Okay, so that's all my soil added to my mixing bin. I'm just going to mix it up by hand here, and then I'm going to add some water. You might be wondering why we're outside today. It is way too beautiful of a day to be stuck in the garage, even though we're just transplanting. Kevin bought this little Fiska's hand tool and we absolutely love it. We are not sponsored by them, but I would highly recommend buying this bad boy. We use it all the time, all over the house, all over the yard. It's just like a great little hand tool. Another added bonus to transplanting outside is that the mess stays outside. It can be a little bit of a messy job when you've got an assembly line going and you're transplanting several hundred seedlings. And Kevin actually picked up, I think like 250 bare root strawberries that we aren't quite ready to put into the food forest yet because we still have quite a bit of snow. So he'll be transplanting those into solo cups for now to hold them over for a week or two before we can get outside and get them into the ground too. Okay, so my soil mix is pretty much done. As you can see, it holds together slightly and it easily crumbles apart. So what I'm going to do is take my solo cup, I'm gonna scoop it in here. You want to pack it slightly. If you don't, what can happen is the soil will settle and then you'll have a half full cup of soil, so that's no good. Because I'm using soil blocks, I only fill it about halfway full, and then I place my block in, press down slightly, and then backfill with soil around it. It just makes it a little easier to fill in. I'm gonna plant my pepper seed to pretty barely below the top surface that it was in the soil block, and just tamp it down. Firm the soil around it. Wipe off the dirt. And then I'm just gonna make my label tag here for my pepper plants. I've tried several different things over the years. This one seems to be the best. I got them on Amazon for a pack of 500. It was super reasonably priced. I can link that in the description below too if you're interested. So this is a red flame pepper. So I'm just gonna write on there, red flame pepper. Pop it into my solo cup, and then my tag can go with me wherever I put that pepper. That's it. That's all there is to transplanting these pepper seedlings out of these soil blocks. It's really easy once you get all the things set up, and you know what? It's no harder than transplanting anything else. They are going to be very happy in their new cups, and I'm sure they'll take off quickly, and I will be up potting them soon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next time on the Boreal Bloom Homestead.